We have Abraham Bolden is joining us. He's the only guest we have today, and this is someone whose story has fascinated me. Abraham Bolden served his country ably as a Secret Service agent, but because of things that he experienced on November 22nd, 1963, and in that period, and his propensity to be a whistleblower, he was penalized by our government. Mr. Bolden, are you with us?
Yes,
there he is.
I'm with you, Roger, and thank you for interviewing me, you and Alex.
Well, more people need to know your story, so I'm going to sit back and let you tell it the way you want. Tell our listeners who you are and about your service to our country and what you've experienced, because I think you have been wrongly convicted of a crime and that President Trump should pardon you. But I want folks to know why. Take it away.
Yes, Roger, I heard the tail end of the conversation that you were having with Alex just a few seconds ago. And I would like to say that there are more than one way to assassinate a president. One is with a bullet, the other is assassinate his character and everything that he's trying to do. And I think that you'll find out that that's what's happening to our president today. They're trying to assassinate him alive, and I hope it doesn't work because he deserves a chance. But as far as I'm concerned, I was an Illinois state trooper before I went into the Secret Service. I went into the Secret Service as a young man. I had idealistic attitudes about the government organizations and the government functions. Now, when I went into the Secret Service in October of 1960 under President Eisenhower, I was the first African-American Secret Service agent, period. Now, I went into the Secret Service and I was stationed in Chicago, Illinois. After Kennedy won the election, I was stationed in Chicago, Illinois, and he was coming to Chicago in order to make a visit to Chicago for a convention that Mayor Daley was giving at McCormick Place. I was a new agent, and in 1961, on April the 28th, when the president arrived at McCormick Place, they, Secret Service agents, had positioned me in front of a washroom, which was very degrading for the plainclothes Secret Service agents. They removed me from my position, which was by the entrance door where the president was supposed to go through, and put me in front of a washroom downstairs. Now, being a new Secret Service agent, I couldn't complain too much, but when the president came at 8:30, his motorcade arrived. And fortunately for me, as fate would have it, the first thing that the president wanted to do was use the washroom. And there I stood. So when the president came down the steps, he was accompanied by all the elite officials, the people, Mayor Daley, who had put over the president in electoral votes so far as Illinois was concerned by about 8,000 votes. So now here comes the president, walks down the stairs, and he stops in front of me. And he asked me, he said, "Are you a Secret Service agent, or are you one of Mayor Daley's finest?" I said, "I'm a Secret Service agent, Mr. President." The president looked at me after one of the agents had told him my name and said, "Mr. Bolden, has there ever been a Negro agent on the Secret Service White House detail in Washington, D.C.? I said, "Not to my knowledge, Mr. President." He said, "Would you like to be the first?" I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. President." He said, "I'll be looking forward to seeing you on the Secret Service White House detail." And on June the 6th of 1961, I became the first African American to serve on the Secret Service White House detail. And now, when I arrived in Washington, D.C., Roger, I expected there to be some prejudice because we were in we were in a situation, a racist situation that was going on all over America at that particular time. So now, when the president came into office, you know, during that time, there were serious bus riots, there were racial stripes, there were lynchings, there were shootings, and there were murders, and all types of things going on that was divisive.
Mr. Bolden, I'm going to stop you there. We're going to pick up your story on the other side here. Many thanks. Welcome back to Infowars. I'm Roger Stone, sitting in for my friend Alex Jones. And it is our privilege to have with us today Abraham Bolden. Before we get to Mr. Bolden, I want to remind everybody that these informative and I think vital broadcasts really require your support. Freedom isn't free. And this is why it's so important that you support the Infowars program by going to the Infowars.com store. Now, I have come to learn that Alex Jones and his people put no product for sale on this site that they themselves have not tested, that others have tested, that they have determined in the marketplace is the very best. If you are buying natural supplements, herbal supplements, and other very specially designed formulas, you aren't getting filler, folks. You aren't getting second-rate material. You are getting the very best, whether it is water filters or whether it is probiotics or whether it is any of their products. And of course, I particularly think it's important to support the movement with our T-shirts. The Trump-Pence 2020 T-shirt, destined for the Smithsonian, an instant classic. My favorite, the Hillary for Prison 2017 T-shirt, a prophetic piece of history. This is something you will want to have before it gets to the Smithsonian. I was really impressed at the inaugural, at the extraordinarily large number of people wearing the red "Trump is my president" T-shirt. Yes, wherever you go, say it loud, say it proud. Don't be afraid to tell liberals down at the McDonald's that you were for Donald Trump and you support the movement to make America great again. So you can make a political statement. You can help your friends and your family who agree with you make a political statement, and you can support Infowars and the important work that is being done by here by Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson and David Knight and so many others. So hit the site and order up, folks. Support the movement. Let's go back to Abraham Bolden. Mr. Bolden, you had joined the White House detail in your telling, and we don't have a lot of time, but take us to the events of November 27, 1963, and let people know what happened to you.
November the 22nd, 1963. I have been complaining to the Chief of the United States Secret Service and also to the high officials of the Secret Service, such as inspectors, and told them that I thought that because of the shenanigans that were being pulled by the White House detail, some of the agents surrounding the president, that the president's life was in jeopardy. And they laughed at me and told me that I didn't see things right. They hadn't lost a president in so many years. But I continued to press forward with my anxieties about the president's life. But on November the 22nd, it came true, what I had predicted and what I had told the Chief of the Secret Service, Dewey Bauman, would happen if that the agents were not chastised for their conduct and lax of duty around the president. So when the president was assassinated, I knew quite a bit about what was being concealed from the American people. Now, here was an agency, the United States Secret Service. We had we had information concerning threats against the president's life that were highly organized. One of them was in Miami, Florida, which described the way that the president would be assassinated. And he was indeed assassinated by the same means and by the same organization, I believe, who was responsible for the assassination of President Kennedy. So now we had understanding and had members in that organization who had given us the full details about the plan to assassinate President Kennedy. We also had in Chicago the same thing. So when the president was assassinated on November the 22nd of 1963, I saw a major cover-up that was going on. And it was an affront to the American people what I witnessed. I witnessed evidence being destroyed. I witnessed so many different things that were going on that was corrupting the investigation of the Warren Commission. And so I felt the duty to do something about it. So I wanted to come to testify before the Warren Commission that Johnson had appointed. So when I went to Washington, D.C. on May the 17th of 1964, I tried to contact J.D. Rankin, but the Secret Service had already decided that I had to go because of my complaints. So they brought me back to Chicago, charged me with a federal crime, and sent me away to prison for a period of 6 years. Now, when I got to prison, I knew that the Secret Service had something awful in store for me because I had heard agents who had said that if the president was a subject of an assassination attempt, they would not perform their duty. They would stand there and let it happen. They said that the president was a nigger lover and that there were things that they didn't like about him and that he was going to have little black boys marrying little white girls and blah, blah, blah. Such ridiculous statements. Now, so when I went to Washington, D.C., and they brought me back to Chicago, they framed me up and accused me of trying to sell a document. Now, this document was no more than a case report that was going to the probation office. Anyway, any attorney could have solicited that document. Now, I knew that. But these counterfeiters who the government used to testify against me did not know that this document was not classified, it was no good, and plus the fact that I had turned over the document to another agent as I was instructed.
Agent Bolden, let me stop you there because you've done a great job of laying out your experience. It is very clear to me that you are a classic whistleblower, that you were punished with trumped-up charges to silence you about your serious doubts regarding the truth of the Warren Commission. And I know, despite the fact that you are a compelling and articulate spokesman for what happened to you and your life's experience, that the mainstream media has a greater interest in covering up your story and not giving you the opportunity to tell the American people what really transpired. Now, as the first African-American to serve on a White House detail, you're a historic figure, much in the way that, say, Barack Obama is a historic figure as our first African-American president. And that's why I think it is vitally important that President Trump hear your story, know your story, and give you the pardon that you are due. You are an innocent man. You were framed. It is now obvious that you were framed. So when I hope President Trump releases, I believe it's in 2017, releases the rest of the JFK assassination documents, he could send a strong signal anytime between now and then by giving you the pardon you so richly deserve. I thank you for joining us today. We're a little out of time because of my travails this morning with a suspicious driver, but I thank you for joining us here at Infowars.com.
Thank you very much, sir. It was my joy in being with you. Thank you very much, and thank Alex Jones also.
Many thanks.
Talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Deeply, I think, racist.
I just got called racist by MSNBC.
I don't want that man to have a gun.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
The Alex Jones Show. Watch the free stream live at Infowars.com/show.